Hi, this is Mustafizur Rahaman, MPSM 6 batch from Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, Maritime University. Now I am presenting my presentation on Circular Port Supply Chain System, a theoretical framework. A supply chain is a system network process which starts from production and ends with the distribution of commodity. Supply chain management is a process of management that includes all the processes that transform raw materials into final products. However, supply chain management does not fulfill the criteria for the sustainable development of the global economy. To fulfill the criteria, we need to find an alternative supply chain management. The object of the study was to find alternative supply chain management. The alternative supply chain is circular supply chain management, which is combination of the circular economy into the management of the supply chain. A port supply chain refers to all the global logistic chain which is operated through a seaport. Circular economy theories provide awareness and knowledge into the demand for transformation in port supply chains to maintain resource in closed-loop systems, reduce waste, and ensuring long-term access to the materials. Researchers and organizations are looking at the necessity for circular supply chain in numerous industries. Research questions. First question is, why is the circular port supply chain necessary? Second question is, how may be constructed as a theoretical framework of the circular port supply chain? The object of this paper is to go over the circular supply chains literature and synthesize it in order to create a theoretical circular port supply chain framework. A port is a type of nautical facilities that consist of one or more wharves or loading zones where ships load and unload cargo and passengers. A circular economy is characterized by marketplaces that encourage people to reuse things rather than discard them and extract new resources. All types of garbage, such as clothing, scrap metal, and obsolete technology, are returned to the economy or utilized more efficiently in such a system. Then term circular economy is widely used as a described end state. The web of people, farm, resources, activities, and technology that come together to manufacture and sell a product or service is referred to as a supply chain. The supply chain begins with the transfer of raw materials from a supplier to a manufacturer and ends with the delivery of the finished products or service to the end customer. The idea of supply chain management is established, which is larger concept that connects important business activities from original suppliers to end user in order to enhance individual companies and supply chain for long-term performance. A circular supply chain is a concept that promotes product producer and dealer to repurpose waste materials. Waste is not the end of the circular supply chain, rather reusing at the end of the life cycle. A circular supply chain includes the decrease of raw materials by providing alternatives that are long-lasting, upgradable, made with renewable energy sources, recyclable and upcyclable. Circular supply chain management is a Applications of circular thinking to the management of the supply chain and its surrounding industrial and natural ecosystems. It covers technical resources and regenerates biological materials systematically from product or service designed to end of life and garbage management, working towards a zero waste goal through system-wide innovations in business models and supply chain activities. The port supply chain is considered as a commodities and service supply chain in this study, with the port acting as a focal point with its own supply chain as well as numerous other players who are integrated into that supply chain. Ports are traditionally thought of as vital aspects of the transportation system and a key subsystem of the global supply chains, larger manufacturing and logistics systems. An element of specific relevance for ports is the geographical scale of circular supply chains. While maritime transport is included in global supply chain, this is less often the case in regional, national, and local supply chain. In this section, I discussed the impact of the circularity transition on ports, basically two effects. The effects of the circular economy on volumes handled in port, and circular economy has the potential to bring new logistical and industrial activity to ports. A high over assessment of the potential impact of the transition towards circularity in ports and volumes yielded its four conclusions. First, port handled a huge volume of non-renewable primary resources. The trend towards circularity will most likely lead to a decline in these volumes. Second, the majority of the remaining non-fossils import and export follow a linear pattern. Intermediate chemical products, which are not recycled in general, make up a large portion of the remaining volumes handled. Third, the share of agricultural commodities is approximately 24% of the export and 3% of imports. While a large part of this is food and feed, an increasing part of the agricultural commodities is used for bioenergy and manufacturing. Fourth, while the proportion of recyclable cannot be calculated directly, several significant recyclable waste paper and steel scrap are included in commodity data. The disposable model is on its way out. The understanding that the earth is limited has evolved to the circular economy being considered the only viable choice for the future. Let's have a look at what this circular economy means and how it applies to the port industry. Circularity is peculiar to the port and maritime transportation industries. Both shipping lines and terminal operators rely on their liner supply procurement chains, which result in the establishment of shipping network and port infrastructure investment. Incorporating four circular economy ideas into the port and ship industry is possible. 1. Maintains. 2. Reuse. 3. Remanufacture. 4. Recycle. Maintains. The fundamental form of circularity guarantees that the products may be utilized again and again, extending its life cycle. Both ships and ports require periodic maintenance to maintain acceptable operational conditions. As a result, the port and shipping industries rely heavily on extensive repair and maintenance procedures with cost effectiveness and predictability at the heart of their business viability. Reuse, ship, sales, or lease have a large market, allowing maritime assets to be shared and utilized effectively. Several of the world's major shipping companies, for example, can lease more than half of their ship assets. The ship can be returned to the leasing market and used after the conclusion of the lease. Remanufactured ships may be repurposed for new purpose. The earliest container ship, for example, are convert bulk and bulk ships, whereas the first cruise ships are converted liners. Circularity exists in the port sectors when it comes to modifying the functions or operational features of the port terminal by updating existing equipment. Cranes and yard equipment, for example, can be updated for automation. Recycle. Scrapping ship and recycle their components, particularly metals, is a large industry. India and Bangladesh are the two most important scrapping destinations for ship. Terminal equipment can be discarded and recycled once it has reached the end of the life cycle. Container shipping is built as a recycling mechanism, hence it represents a specific sort of circularity. A container is a reusable unit that is regularly relocated by carriers with containers fleets, whether they own or lease them. Container leasing business allocate their assets to optimize earnings other in another area. This paper is represent what is the circular economy chain management, and what is the circular port supply chain, and how it works in the global supply chain to achieve the SDG. It is necessary of circular supply chain management. This paper has represented a theoretical framework by which we can achieve the transmit circular economy in port activities. Many research areas are identified at the theories and practical levels. For instance, mass research is needed to specify the content of the circular port supply chain, its relations to the port governments, port administration, and port management, and the interrelationships among the existing or other port research areas. Further research is needed to determine standardization and digital solutions of both institutional operational systems in a port cluster performance and competitiveness. In order to improve the sustainability of the port supply chain, further research may try to find the institutional and operational part in seaport development and reorganization's efficiency, effectiveness, and efficiency. Thank you.